Don't come any closer. What if you pass some strange germs to us? You're dirty. You're in the medical field, so stay away. My son's wife's words stung as she spoke to me through a mask at the front door. It was my grandson's 3rd birthday, yet I was sent away without even being able to say a word of celebration. I am a nurse, and I dedicate my life to saving others. Why must I be looked down upon like this? Fine. Then don't ever rely on doctors, I wanted to yell at her. But God sees everything, doesn't he? My name is Sally. I am a 60-year-old woman who loves home gardening. Lately, the heat is so intense that I feel faint after just a short time outside. Working in my garden is a life and death task. Even with all my precautions against heat stroke, I need to be careful as I age. On such hot days, I think about the most challenging time of my life. It was about 10 years ago when my only son Ken got married and my husband passed away. Joy and sorrow came to me simultaneously. During my lonely days living alone, I received wonderful news. What? Allison is pregnant? My son's wife Allison was pregnant with my first grandchild. I couldn't be happier. That's great. How is Allison feeling? She must be worried about a lot of things, especially since it's her first time, so you need to be there for her. My son replied somewhat exasperatedly. I know, Mom. But no matter how bothersome he thought it was important to tell him. It's not uncommon for couples to divorce due to the husband's lack of consideration during pregnancy. It'll be okay. We talk about everything. If something's wrong, Allison tells me. Knowing before she has to say something is also important. The guy who brags about how understanding he is usually the most dangerous. It'll be fine. I wondered if it really would be. My son said everything was peaceful at home, and I found myself smiling on the other end of the phone. I was looking forward to the future, so I thought, I'm sorry. I think I'm coming down with something, so I need to cancel our dinner. Just as Allison's morning sickness has subsided and we planned a dinner together, I caught a cold. Oh, are you okay? Allison asked with genuine concern for my health. I just have a sore throat, but there was an outbreak of the flu in a ward at work recently, so I thought it best not to see you since you're pregnant. Right. I wouldn't want to meet you. When I mentioned the flu situation at work, Allison's words cut sharply. For a moment, I felt a question mark float above my head. Wasn't that a bit harsh? Couldn't you have said it more gently? Well, take care. Thanks, I will. I sensed a slight panic in Allison's tone, but decided to ignore it. Naturally, nobody would want to meet a person with a cold while pregnant, especially when there's a risk of flu. I decided to accept that I was the one with the cold. I got over the cold, and we rescheduled the dinner. My son and Allison arrived wearing masks. It was around 10 years ago. Back then, people didn't wear masks unless they were sick. My son was the type to refuse a mask, no matter how much I, a nurse, told him to wear one. This was since childhood. What had changed? Maybe his perspective on illness had changed since Allison was pregnant. It's good to be cautious, so I brushed it off optimistically. But as I returned to the table from the restroom, I overheard Allison's voice. When you think about it, she's basically a virus herself. I didn't understand what they were talking about, but I had a bad feeling and stopped to listen. Well, Mom's a medical professional. Her chances of catching a bug are high, my son replied. We should have postponed the dinner again. What if we get sick? I'm worried. It'll be fine. We wore masks and didn't talk much during dinner. Don't worry so much. Are you sure? I'm anxious. Listening to their conversation, I understood why they wore masks and why the conversation didn't pick up. Allison sometimes covered her mouth as if she was disgusted by my laughter. They worried I was carrying some sort of germ. How cold they were. I wanted to confront them immediately, but I couldn't bring myself to get angry, considering Allison's pregnancy. I, too, had been overly sensitive when I was pregnant. There were so many things to worry about. Being a nurse, I was more cautious than most expecting mothers. I found myself more irritable than usual, possibly due to hormonal changes. Surely, Allison was experiencing something similar. My son was playing along with Allison's concerns. I decided to overlook their comments. Back then, I saw Allison as a patient rather than my son's wife. I returned to my seat as if nothing had happened, and Allison immediately put on her mask. Masking up right after eating felt more like avoiding germs. It wasn't about avoiding the environment, but about treating me like a walking virus. I felt complicated emotions about the situation. A while later, Allison safely delivered my granddaughter, Mia. It was likely the pregnancy affecting Allison's behavior. After the birth, she stopped treating me like a germ. I was glad I held back my anger at the time. Sometimes, patience is important. Or so I thought. But the story didn't end there. Not long after New Year's, I got a call from my son.
"Mom, you're not sick, are you?"
What are you talking about? I could tell he had a sore throat from his voice.
"Allison and Mia caught colds after visiting for New Year, and now I've got it."
During the visit, Allison had been taking care of Mia with wet hair right after a bath in winter. Mia was now 2 and getting mischievous. Of course, I told her she'd catch a cold if she didn't dry her hair, and I took over watching Mia. But that must have been why they got sick. Of course you caught a cold. When you visited, I noticed that you need to help out raising Mia more.
"You brought germs home, didn't you?"
My son accused me out of nowhere. I was so taken aback by the unexpected accusation that I gasped. What are you talking about? I didn't catch a cold.
"Well, you're a nurse and flu season's here. Allison thinks you must have caught something and brought it to us."
What? Is Allison saying that too? If you two were right, wouldn't I have been the first to catch a cold? Doesn't that seem strange to you? And if the flu is going around, wouldn't it be more likely that you caught it elsewhere?
"No, you're definitely the cause. I'm sure of it."
Stop being ridiculous and get some rest. Otherwise, you'll just be passing the cold back and forth. My son seemed unconvinced, and he eventually said,
"Whatever,"
and hung up. I was fuming. That boy! How dare he accuses me like that? Apologize to all medical professionals. Medical workers are more careful than anyone about infection control and personal health. The next time I'd see them would be for Mia's birthday party. She would be turning 3. I was worried they might be teaching Mia the wrong things about my profession. At the party, I planned to gently but firmly scold my son and Allison. Summer arrived, and the day of Mia's birthday party finally came. They planned to celebrate at home, just like the previous years. I went to their house, carrying a present for my granddaughter. What are you doing here? What? When I rang the doorbell, Allison stood in front of me with an angry look and a mask on her face. It's Mia's birthday, isn't it? I don't want some germ-infested person celebrating my daughter's birthday. Are you calling me a germ? Who else would I be talking about? Every time I meet you, I end up getting sick. After New Year's, I caught a terrible cold. That's a matter of self-care. Besides, I've only met you once since then. No, I've always been exhausted after seeing you. Of course, you'd be tired. I did all the chores when I was there, and you had to do everything yourself when you got back home. No, you must have given us some germs. The germs came from your workplace. I was stunned by Allison's words, and I was convinced that my son and his wife had lost their minds. How do you get through to someone like this?
At first, I thought Allison was overreacting, but it's clear now. Mom is a walking germ.
My son emerged from behind Allison, but stayed at a distance.
We have Mia to worry about. What if she gets a serious illness because of you?
Yeah, what if you get hurt and Mia touches your wound and catches something? What would you do then? I was surprised by their thinking. No. What are you talking about? Before that happens, you, as parents, would stop her and call for help. What are you even thinking? Even with regular checkups, I don't have any infectious diseases. Your worries are groundless. You never know. Allison raised her voice. You're too optimistic. You don't know enough about diseases, even as a medical professional. You don't pass the nursing exam without knowledge. You lack the information. With your optimism, we can't relax. We aren't wrong. Oh, really? I was exasperated by Allison's confident demeanor, and my son seemed pleased his wife could speak her mind. I was utterly ashamed of my own son. Allison dealt another blow. I tolerated you because you're my husband's mother, but I can't take it anymore.
Yeah, for the sake of my family, I'm cutting ties with this dirty medical worker. Get out.
My son glared at me with disgust and slammed the door. In the end, I didn't get to see my granddaughter and felt like I came for nothing. All I had left was the present, with no chance of giving it to her. Had I done something so wrong? I occasionally scolded my son for not helping with childcare and tried to be supportive to Allison, yet I was dismissed as a germ and cast out. I didn't expect gratitude, but this was too much. I tried to put on a brave face, but tears streamed down my cheeks in the taxi home. A few hours later, I noticed several missed calls from Allison. Why is she calling after what she said? I wanted to ignore her, but I felt a strange sense of unease. I hesitated to call back when the phone rang again. Hello? I debated ignoring it, but the bad feeling was overwhelming, so I answered.
Mom, please help. Something's wrong with Mia.
Allison's half-crazed voice shocked me, but I stayed calm. What's wrong with her? What happened?
I don't know. She suddenly started shivering and having trouble breathing, and her lips are swelling.
What are you doing? Don't call me. Call an ambulance immediately.
John, the ambulance.
She'll be fine. Calling an ambulance is too much.
What is he talking about? Allison, listen to me. Keep this line open and call the ambulance from your landline or another phone.
Got it.
Allison was still panicking, but there wasn't time for that. She called the ambulance, but waiting felt like an eternity. You said Mia was shivering, right? Have her bite down on a towel or something so she doesn't bite her tongue. If she feels sick, lay her on her side so her throat doesn't close up. I offered that little advice I could, and Allison followed my instructions.
Okay.
Soon after, the ambulance arrived and Mia was taken to the hospital. I rushed to the hospital too.
Why did you come? I told you we're cutting ties.
My son yelled at me. Be quiet, we're in a hospital. My son looked dissatisfied, but Allison lowered her head.
I'm sorry for the trouble.
We went outside to avoid making a scene in the hospital. Did Mia eat anything unusual before she collapsed? I asked. Allison hesitated and glanced at my son, but my son wouldn't meet her gaze. Something's wrong. From what I hear, Mia's symptoms are likely anaphylactic shock. It's probably an allergy. Just as Allison began to speak, my son shouted,
Allison!
Stopping her. Allison fell silent, but I pressed on. Allison, you know something. Tell me.
Don't say a word.
My son insisted. Caught between us, Allison eventually muttered,
It's not my fault. I gave Mia something she didn't like because John told me to.
Something she didn't like?
She's always said fish makes her itchy and he insisted she eats it. John said she shouldn't be picky and would scold me.
Well, being picky isn't good for her. Fish makes her itchy? That's ridiculous. It's an excuse to avoid eating it.
Hearing them, I was shocked. Allison continued, unaware of my reaction.
So today I gave her more to help her overcome it.
Wait, you mean every time she ate it, she had a rash? Did you check?
I thought it was a lie, so I didn't look.
Ugh, this can't be true. It's not about being picky, she's having an allergic reaction. The couple turned pale.
That's not true. Mia lied before, and today she just happened to have an allergy.
Allergies don't just happen once. They build up and worsen over time.
That's not true. Allison doesn't make meals suitable for children, so she forces Mia to eat. If she made better meals, this wouldn't have happened.
Wait a minute. You're blaming me? I said if Mia didn't want it, she shouldn't be forced.
Thinking like that gave her an allergy. You build immunity by repeated exposure.
Then why didn't you feed her? I handle everything at home while you only give orders. When Mia fell ill, you said no ambulance.
I thought she was faking not wanting fish.
A 3-year-old wouldn't do that.
Their argument intensified and I stepped in. You both claim innocence, but you're both at fault.
What?
They looked at me in surprise. Mia was sending signals. She was itchy when she ate fish, but you didn't check, and you dismissed her. That's your failure, Allison.
But that's because Allison abandoned her rule. I had to step in.
I said Mia shouldn't be forced if she didn't want it, and your attitude caused this allergy.
Allergies resolve with repeated exposure.
Then why didn't you feed her? I did all the chores and childcare, yet you just criticize. When Mia fell ill, you said she was acting. A 3-year-old wouldn't do that.
I stepped in again. You're both in the wrong. A parent blames each other and not thinking about your child? How dare you talk like that? You didn't notice Mia's allergies and forced the allergen on her. She could have died. Can't you understand that? Not one of you has apologized to Mia, have you? My outburst silenced them. They didn't meet my gaze. I've decided.
About what?
Allison asked, confused. I'll take Mia. I can't have Mia living with either of you.
What?
The couple was shocked.
All that talk was just in the heat of the moment. We didn't mean it.
You don't say things like that, even in anger. You couldn't care for Mia safely, so she's coming with me.
But...
The couple had no counter-argument. They looked down, unable to speak.
Please don't take her away.
It's not taking, it's protection. With you, her life is at risk.
But Mia wouldn't be happy without us.
My son's words gave me a pause. Indeed, Mia might want her parents more than me. If she wants to be with you, I'll back off. Let's ask Mia. The couple seemed triumphant. Despite their hurtful words, they couldn't stand to lose her. They only cared about appearances, but Mia would decide. We spoke to Mia when she awoke. Mia, would you like to live with Grandma?
With Grandma?
Mia asked, confused. You'd live with me. I had prepared for a difficult explanation.
Yes, please. Grandma, please take care of me.
Mia's formal tone shocked everyone. You'd be okay without Mom and Dad? I clarified to avoid misunderstandings.
Yes, they don't love me. They don't play with me, force me to eat fish that makes me itchy, and always fight. I'm scared. Today I said I'm scared and hurt, but Dad said it was fine. I was coughing and told him I'm in pain, but he didn't help me. Isn't that strange?
Mia's candid words made me chuckle. Meanwhile, Allison glared at my son, furious. You caused her to choose Grandma, she seemed to say. Mia, if you want, I'll let you see them, but living with me means not living with them. Do you understand? I wanted to ensure Mia knew what she was agreeing to.
Yes, I don't mind not seeing them.
Mia's cheerful acceptance stunned us. I glanced at the couple. How does it feel to be rejected by your own child? They had no answer, too shocked by Mia's words. Meanwhile, Mia cheerfully anticipated living with Grandma. Thus, Mia came to live with me. Afterward, my son and Allison divorced.
Children are the glue of marriage,
they say, but pulling Mia from them triggered their split. I don't feel guilty. Allison says she only stayed married for Mia's sake. Without her, there was no reason to stay. John said he hadn't seen Allison as a woman since Mia was born and wanted to remarry. Such self-centered spouses. I was the one who got cut off, but they ended up cutting ties with each other. It's a funny story now. Because I took in Mia, they couldn't cut me off and began contacting me frequently. They asked if Mia wanted to live with them. Though they said they didn't need her, being rejected hurt their pride. They showered Mia with gifts and visits, hoping to win her back. They wanted to beat their ex-spouse more than they wanted Mia. But just because a parent wants a child doesn't mean the child wants it too. As Mia grew tired of their gifts, she stopped seeing them even when they visited. If they truly cared, they wouldn't have let go, no matter what I said. She chose to stay with me, knowing I valued her. It's heartwarming. Mia and I garden together and cook with the vegetables we grow. I sometimes worried about raising her alone, especially with night shifts, but we managed. When I explained my situation, my work accommodated me by eliminating night shifts and adjusting my schedule. It's not without challenges, but I can raise Mia comfortably. Mia is thriving and now in elementary school. I've only raised boys, so I was surprised by how fast girls grow. She now comments on celebrity scandals, calling them foolish for cheating despite knowing they'll get caught. She's so mature for her age. I feared she'd be embarrassed by my age and ask me not to attend events, but she enjoys spending time with me. She even wants to shop for clothes together. She thinks my taste is outdated and saves her allowance to buy me skirts. I haven't worn skirts in decades. I consider brushing up on my style for her sake, but bright colors intimidate me.
You'll age faster if you stop trying.
Mia, I'm past just getting old. But Mia insists on a youthful mindset, so I keep quiet. Her interest in beauty products reflects in her advice to me. With Mia's influence, I might regain my former beauty. We're like a mother-daughter pair, friends despite the age gap, enjoying our unique family dynamic.